You are now watching the True Mets Talk podcast live stream. We will be going live shortly. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Shallow right field, stumbling start for Stewart. It's thrown to deep left field by Alvarez. He's homered in 4 straight games for the second time in his. He's homered in 4.
What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to another edition of the True Mets Talk post-game show. It's an electric victory here on the channel and for our New York Mets, and they improve to a record of 75 and 64, 11 games over 500. 7-2 victory. Francisco Lindor continuing his MVP type run. Home run to get the Mets started. It was a 2-run home run. Gets the Mets some insurance runs. Has 3 RBIs on the night. We'll talk a little bit more about Francisco Lindor here in just a second. But before we do, as always, make sure you hit that thumbs up on this stream, whether you're watching it now, watching it later, whatever have you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. I definitely appreciate that. For those of you all who are just coming into the live chat, please make sure to vote also in the live chat poll and drop those comments as always in the live chat section. It has been quite a long time since I've done a post-game show. And just to start off our show, I want to give you all a little bit of a public service announcement. I will continue to be doing post-game shows from now until the end of the season. I'll be joining the Pure Adrenaline Sports Network with John and myself doing post-game streams. Going to try to get Rob up on with us as well at some point, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So a lot more Mets content coming your all's way. I definitely appreciate that. And like I said, make sure you all are following me over on X and Instagram. The post games with Pure Adrenaline Sports times the CPNYSports YouTube channels will be starting live tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow. So make sure you go check that out as well. Definitely appreciate it. Want to salute everybody in the chat. Daniel is getting hype. Great win for our boys. Absolutely 100%. I got Darren in the chat. Hey, did you see Hector at the game? I saw our guy Hector, aka Blunt Thoughts, on the SNY screen. He is aware of it. I sent it in our group chat, and it always seems like the cameras find a way to find our guy Hector out there in the stands when he attends those games. Salute to Carlos. Appreciate you. Salute CP. Yes, from 11 under to 11 over. That's right, Carlos. 100%. That is the story of this season. Absolutely. I cannot wait to talk about this game with you all. Francisco Lindor is on the home screen, the opening slide for a reason, for an absolute reason, 100%. And the incredible turnaround of this Mets season is 11 to 11. Like you just said, Oliver's in the chat. I appreciate you. Meet the effing Mets. Absolutely. Like I said, Pure Adrenaline Sports. Go subscribe. We're doing a post game tomorrow night, and we're going to be doing post games up until the end of the season. Hopefully into the postseason when we're talking about our New York Mets clinching a playoff spot. Jay saying CP's return was not a jinx. Like I said, guys, I wasn't supposed to be doing this post game. I was supposed to be doing a post-game tomorrow, but I figured why not jump on a brief post-game, not only because our Mets won, but also because I got my handy-dandy podcast set up in the back, just moved residences, and I want to test out the Wi-Fi. So if I am glitchy, please let me know in the chat, but if I'm okay, please let me know as well. Always want to make sure the sound is working for you all as well. Got Frank in the chat as well saying the Mets kicked some butt. 100%. Let's talk about the game here real quick. David Peterson, absolutely phenomenal again. 6 innings pitched. The line was fantastic. I said it in the pregame stream. If you missed the pregame stream, make sure you go check that out. The link's going to be in the description down below. Always talking about our Mets in the pregame, what we saw from the night before, the pitching matchup, the lineup, with my guy Rob and myself. You know the deal. If you don't, like I said, make sure you subscribe if you're new here and check out all of our pregame streams, more or less before every single game, schedule permitting. But David Peterson was absolutely spectacular tonight. Yet again, the ERA drops to a 2.75 ERA on the season. He is now 9-1 on the season, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits surrendered, only 1 earned run surrendered. And honestly, let me be really clear with you all. Brandon Nimmo has not been playing the best center field over the last 2 nights. He had a misjudgment, not really an error. He just completely missed the ball yesterday, which allowed the ball to roll to the wall for a triple. And also tonight, that ball, I believe it was the 4th inning. It might have been the top of the 5th. That ball that hung up in the air, it was 2 outs. David Peterson was getting ready to get out of a jam. Brandon Nimmo took 1 step back, and then he was late to break up into the break to the ball, and he let it fall right in front of him for that sole earned run for David Peterson. I really think Brandon Nimmo should have gotten to that ball. I'm not going to nitpick here, but like I said, obviously Harrison Bader was not in the starting lineup today. We all know and we'd all prefer defensively Harrison Bader in center field, but when Brandon Nimmo's name is called, his number is called in center field, he has to make that play. Because honestly, at that point, David Peterson was rolling. Yes, he got himself into some jams, but that would have been absolutely huge sigh of relief for David Peterson had he not allowed that earned run. But alas, he got out of the inning and he gets the victory. 11 strikeouts, guys. David Peterson. This is what I'm talking about with David Peterson, right? Every single time, and I said it in the pregame stream, every single time we talked about David Peterson in seasons past, it was like, well, he does a great job working himself into favorable counts, but does he have the consistent put away pitches to retire batters via the strikeout and make at bats less lengthy for him to extend himself into those 6th and 7th innings? What we saw from David Peterson tonight was a prime example of the fantastic season he's been producing. His arsenal, if you look up the Baseball Savant splits on his stuff, 31 pitches were four-seam fastballs. He had the four-seamer working. He changed the opposing hitter's eye level, and they were basically whiffing at it, especially if it was up in the zone. And so were the Mets early on against Cutter Crawford, but that's a different story here. We'll talk about that in just a second. But also, the distribution of his off-speed pitches was also just as fantastic. Locating it in the zone, slider, changeup, sinker. If David Peterson has those 4 pitches working, right? Or at least I should say those 3 off-speed pitches working, and he's also getting that fastball four-seamer over for a strike, this guy is going to be really good. And I'm not talking about only for this season. I'm not going to jump the gun in terms of making a rash judgment on David Peterson past this season. But if this is the start of something that we all have hoped out of David Peterson for quite some time now, if he's just starting to figure it out and he's going to do this consistently, this is going to be a nice rotation add for future seasons to come. And David Peterson is showing why the Mets really believed in his upside for the past few years, right? He's really showing that right now. And the distribution of his pitches and his ability to command all of those pitches is just a testament to this fantastic season that he's been putting on. 9-1 with a 2.75 ERA for Mr. David Peterson. I mean, what more could you possibly want? What more could you possibly want? And I said it in the pregame. He's going to throw that changeup, and I was expecting a big night. And that changeup, he did throw 100%. So kudos to David Peterson. Another fantastic start for him. And he is absolutely reaping the benefits, and so are the Mets in his starts. 100%. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about. It is in the title of this video. Francisco Lindor continues his MVP run as the New York Mets win. And yes, 100%, Oliver, he is an absolute machine right now. Francisco Lindor hits his 30th home run of the season. I believe that is the 5th season of his career that he has hit 30-plus home runs. The only shortstop in MLB history to have more 30-plus home run seasons under his belt was Alex Rodriguez with 7. But I bet you Francisco Lindor ends up tying that record, if not overtaking him with 8. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. 30 home runs. He also, in the later part of the game, stole his 26th bag. He is well on his way to another 30-30 season. And this is just simply undeniable, this run that Francisco Lindor is on right now. What can you say about Francisco Lindor other than that he is an MVP candidate carrying this team right now on his back? Because guess what? Cutter Crawford was looking like a stud in the first few innings. He even got Francisco Lindor and blew a fastball right by him in that opening at bat. But what do MVP caliber players do? They make adjustments. What did Francisco Lindor do? He got out to a 2-0 start in a second at bat. Cutter Crawford decided he wanted to throw him an off-speed pitch. That was an absolute hanger. And Francisco Lindor unloads to get the scoring started for either side tonight with a 2-run home run. Believe he came into the game with 80-plus RBIs. I believe it was 80 on the dot. I could be mistaken, but he gets 3 tonight. He's going to be at 100-plus RBIs. He is going to be at 30-plus home runs. He already is. And he is going to be at 30-plus stolen bases. I understand the great things that the other players that are in the MVP consideration are doing right now. Primarily Shohei Ohtani, right? There's a couple other names out there that are having fantastic seasons and are definitely in part of the consideration as well. But right now, it's Ohtani and Lindor. And I understand Shohei Ohtani, but I promise you, right now, the larger impact, non-biasedly speaking, to each respective team, Francisco Lindor right now means the most to his respective team, more so than any other National League player. Case closed. That's it. So, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I wasn't convinced that Francisco Lindor was going to be top 2 in MVP voting, right? I wasn't convinced that Shohei Ohtani, I wasn't convinced that this award wasn't Shohei Ohtani's to lose, right? Francisco Lindor is changing the narrative, not only for myself, right? Because I knew he was going to be top 5 MVP. The statistics support that. You look at the WAR, you look at the 30-30 on its way, you look at the defense, you look at the overall impact that Lindor has. It was always undeniable that he was going to be in the discussion. But how much of a run could he have given Shohei Ohtani? That was the question a couple weeks ago. It's not a question any longer. These players right now, it's a real race. It's a real race. So shout out to Francisco Lindor. Shout out to him, 2 for 4, home run, also a double, 3 RBIs. Fantastic. Nothing more to say. Salute to Aaron. CP Live said no post game. He loves us fans. I do love you all. I appreciate you all as well. If you love me, if you love these post games, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Mets talk. But I did lie to you all. I said I had an NFL fantasy draft. Honestly, I got the bulk of my picks in. It's football season. I'm a Giants fan. For better or for worse, I'm cautiously optimistic about this season. But right now, the New York Mets are in a playoff race. We'll talk about the updated wildcard standings here in just a second and some scores around the league. But yes, I am here in the post game. Like I said, I'm not going to make it too long. The lengthier post games are to come starting tomorrow. Like I said, Pure Journal Sports. Please go subscribe to John over there. Get him to 4,000 subscribers. Great play-by-play videos, in-game live streams, and now post-game streams with himself and yours truly joining him starting tomorrow. But don't worry, those post games will also be broadcasted on this channel as well, just like every other post game. Darren, yes, we'll talk about this bullpen here. Do not worry. We'll talk about Buto. We'll talk about Reed Garrett, who is absolutely huge. And we'll talk about the effect of not using Edwin Diaz, which was also huge. He is able to be saved for tomorrow in an event that his numbers called for the save because the New York Mets put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th inning. Absolutely. W's in the chat. Spam those W's in the chat. Please spam those W's in the chat. Please. Frank says, CP, mark my words, MVP for Lindor. Stanley Peterson had himself a birthday present. Yes, happy birthday, first of all, to David Peterson. It was great to see Sean Manaea on the sidelines there in the dugout give that in-game interview with Gary, Keith, and Ron, putting on the headset, made sure everyone knew it was David Peterson's birthday and how special of a day it was for him at that point because he was absolutely rolling. The ultimate birthday present. You are absolutely right, Stanley. W. Absolutely. Nice to see you too, Stoney. Thank you so much. Like I said, I appreciate you all being here. Please vote in the live chat poll. Spam the W's. If you're a member of the channel, spam the special emojis. Francisco Lindor, put it in the books. Pete Alonso, who also had a home run in that 8th inning as well for the New York Mets. It was a 2-run home run. And listen, the Mets didn't find themselves in scoring position all too often today, but when they did, they capitalized. Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso primarily. They go 2 for 3 with runners in scoring position today. Mark Vientos, congratulations to him. He hits his 22nd home run of the season. For those of you all who follow me over on X, I predicted before the season started the number 2-2 for Mark Vientos in the home run category, and therefore he has reached it with a lot of games left to go. So now we are looking at a potential 25-plus home run season for Mark Vientos in his pace as his first season as New York Mets starting third baseman, right? And this is a season where we're talking about inconsistent at-bats for the first couple of months before he got called up for good, right? So you can only imagine what would have been a 30-plus home run season for Mark Vientos had he been the consistent starter from the start. But bygones are bygones. Obviously, I wasn't bought in back then. Not many people were, especially with Brett Beatty in the equation. I wanted Vientos as the DH prior to the season starting. Listen, everybody gets it wrong. Most people get it wrong. There were a lot of Vientos believers. I was a Vientos believer. I just didn't think it was going to happen at third base, but he is defying all odds. And I want to shout out Mark Vientos as well. But listen, like I said, Cutter Crawford did have a lot of good stuff going. It took a little bit for the Mets to figure him out. I'm glad the Mets figured him out. David Peterson kept this team in the ballgame. That's all. If you listen to me on this channel, the only thing that I want out of our starting pitchers, and they've been doing a fantastic job of it, is keeping the Mets in the ballgame long enough, right? Over 5, 6, however many innings, in hopes that the offense comes alive at any point. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what David Peterson did, and it allowed for some breathing room. Now, like I said, the defense, Brandon Nimmo, that ball needs to be caught. Of anything that happened today, that is my biggest issue, is Brandon Nimmo and the reads that he's getting in center field. Now, be it that there's not too much else to talk about here offensively, Jeff McNeil also had himself a hell of a game. Love to see that from Jeff McNeil. Francisco Alvarez, right? 1 hit, good to see there. Opposite field, utilizing the opposite field. Antoine Richardson, Mets first base coach. You can see Alvarez has been struggling. As soon as he got that base knock, Mr. Richardson puts his arm around Francisco Alvarez, and you can only assume, and the broadcast zoomed in on this, he's providing Francisco Alvarez encouraging feedback, telling him to breathe, see good things happen when you stop thinking up there. Whatever was said between Mr. Richardson and Mr. Alvarez, that is for them to know and for them only to know, but that is awesome to see leadership from your first base coach coaching a young player that has been struggling and that we've talked about struggling in the pregame show. So I wanted to just share that. But the only other sort of gripe I had with this game was the walks from Jose Butto. He comes in to relieve, and those of you all who know me love Jose Butto, one of my favorite New York Mets on this roster right now. I think he's a bulldog up on that mound. I think he's provided a lot of great things for the New York Mets so far in this season with a 2.63 ERA. But the walks at this juncture of the season, in that close of a game, in that time period of the game, cannot happen. Walking the first two guys in that inning and forcing Carlos Mendoza's hand to put Reed Garrett in. Now, Reed Garrett did a fantastic job. The splitter, right, was working for him. Fastball was working for him. Gets the job done with only allowing one run, but Jose Butto needs to cut down on the walks. That's been a common theme for him over his last 5 outings as well. And that's something that I'm going to point out because right now, like I said, you all know me. I love the Mets bullpen. I love the personnel that are up there. On paper, I think it's a really damn good bullpen. I have said the word elite in the past, and I've caught some flack on it. But you know what? I'm not going back because everybody in that bullpen on paper to the back of their baseball cards would make an elite bullpen. And we saw that from Stanek today, right? In the ninth inning, closing things out, not really a save opportunity or situation, or else Edwin Diaz would be out there. But Ryan Stanek looked filthy. Phil Maton has been fantastic. We all know the arsenal and the electricity that Huascar Brazaban provides. Jose Butto has been brilliant, right? Everybody else in between, not named Adam Ottavino, is awesome. And I trust his bullpen. I do. As crazy as it may sound, I trust his bullpen. But the walks need to stop, especially in those crucial situations, in these crucial outings from these guys. And Jose Butto is an example tonight. But like I said, teammates got your back. This team is a cohesive unit. Francisco Lindor with the emotion. Pete Alonso with the emotion. Reed Garrett letting out roars after he gets out of that jam. This is what we love to see. This is what we love to see as New York Mets fans. Sound, fundamental baseball. It didn't matter, and it doesn't matter what the score is at the end as long as the Mets are winning. It could be 1-0, 2-0, 9-0. I don't care what the score is. Keep stacking wins. And most importantly, keep stacking series wins. And guess what? That's what the Mets did today. They got the series win out of the way, winning the first two and taking the first two at home from the Boston Red Sox. And I'm hyped up. As you all can or maybe can't tell, I'm absolutely hyped up. Shout out to Ray. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Darren saying this game kind of reminded me of Garrett Crochet game where he was dominating the Mets, and Lindor hit a home run just like today. Absolutely. Like I said, the Mets offense is just a sleeping giant waiting to be awoken. If they don't get off to a hot start out of the gate, it's most of the time going to be Francisco Lindor being the one to sort of wake them up. But this lineup, we talked about it on the pregame, guys. This is a deep lineup. This is a lineup that you saw today that didn't even have JD Martinez in it. It didn't even have a guy like Harrison Bader, who's having a great season, right? All in all, even though he's been struggling a little bit recently, he's having a great season. Tyrone Taylor, as a utility type outfielder, is having a great season. This Mets lineup and this bench is as deep as ever. I love it. I love it. I'm happy I'm back too. And it's good to see you as well, Jeremy. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you all. Woo. Man, like, what more can I say? I say this a lot, especially when the Mets win. It's just sound baseball. It's just sound baseball. I love coming up here. Of course, I'll talk about the losses when the losses happen, but it's so much better, so much more fun to come up here and dissect these wins with you all and get your thoughts and opinions on it. I saw Hector after the Vientos home run. He's also a Vientos guy. I know he's been cheering him on all season. Good to see it. I want to see Vientos get to 25 plus home runs. I really do. I really do. Jay saying, in relation to the live chat poll, by the way, if you all are in the live chat, please vote in the live chat poll. I asked you all, what do you all think about Francisco Lindor's odds of winning the MVP? Not if you think he should be MVP, but what do you think his odds are stacked up against a guy like Shohei Ohtani? Jay saying, sadly, MVP usually just means best offensive year, which would probably at that point, I believe is what you're saying, would go to Shohei Ohtani. Let's not sleep on the offensive year, the fantastic, blatantly fantastic offensive year Francisco Lindor is having. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is doing a lot of great things as well, but somehow, some way, I hate to say it, and I don't want to be a downer on the situation. The voters, I don't know, man. The Mets always find a way to get screwed. Just like how Francisco Lindor wasn't an all-star this season, my gut tells me that he's not going to win the MVP. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. Mets need to get into the playoffs. The personal accolades for Francisco Lindor, I know he wants it so bad. I want it for him. I'm a huge Francisco Lindor guy. I want to see him get these accolades. It's a joke that he wasn't an all-star, right? It's unfortunate that he's got Shohei Ohtani entering the NL. Otherwise, he'd be clear MVP right now on September 3rd, in my humble opinion. But yeah, that's just how it goes with these awards and Mets players. That's really it. Chat is popping tonight. The chat is popping. I apologize, guys. Honestly, I don't even have my glasses on right now. I'm trying to see you all. I don't even have my glasses on. I'm trying to see the chat. I'm having to squint. I apologize. It's a little bit dark in here. I got to work on my lighting too. I know I have my hat on, but yeah, guys, I appreciate you all being here. I want to shout everybody out. I just can't really see all the comments. They are pouring in at a very fast rate. I see Anthony in the chat, Ray, Ricardo. Shout out my guy Ricardo, Frank. Let's see, Oliver, Ken, M-Easy. Woo! Appreciate you, Ken. Thank you so much. I try to provide the best insight as I possibly can. A game like tonight, there's really not much insight to provide. But yeah, this is absolutely spectacular baseball that we're witnessing. Let me go ahead and try to get my eyes are bugging out right now. I am sorry, guys. My eyes been very dry today. Let me try to get my glasses on here. Let me see if that does anything. And I got that glare. All right, glasses are off. I'm going to deal with the dry eyes, guys. Listen, this is the difficulties that I have to endure after taking a hiatus from these post games. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, guys. All right, where was I? Ray saying Ohtani doesn't carry the Dodgers. Yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, right? The argument has been made. If you put Francisco Lindor up there in place of Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers, they might even be a better club. And I definitely do agree with that because I think Francisco Lindor brings the better overall impact, especially when Shohei Ohtani isn't pitching. But yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, my thoughts and summaries of how I assess this MVP race is that Shohei Ohtani is probably one of the greatest players to ever put on a baseball uniform. We know what he's done in his career so far. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have the statistics to prove that he's MVP this season. I'm just saying that the brand name of the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani himself helps him out greatly. And it just seems like a lot of Mets players are on the short end of the stick when it comes to these personal accolade awards. And that's just what it is. But it's unfortunate. I'm going to keep supporting this Francisco Lindor MVP campaign type season. And that's just that. There's nothing much more that we can do. Yes, my eyes, it must be all the traveling, Carlos. It must be all the traveling. I got to get some eye drops or something because my eyes are bugging out right now, especially with this screen. I've been staring at my phone all day. Just fantasy drafts, post games, pre games, eyes are drying out. And I definitely appreciate you all being here and bearing through these, not technical difficulties, but these human difficulties of my eyes just not cooperating at this moment. Shouldn't matter. That means it's just a popularity thing if that's the case. Honestly, though, can we really dispute the fact that it might be a popularity thing, Cope? I mean, that's really the point that I'm trying to get at this rate. That's really the point that I'm trying to get at. So if I were to say it blatantly, I mean, like the NBA All-Star voting, and like a lot of other things with these kind of accolades in sports and MLB All-Star voting as well, when Francisco Lindor got snubbed out of an All-Star appearance, like it really does boil down to popularity. I mean, it really does. Let's be honest with you. So I think the MLB and baseball, the sport in general, would benefit from some of these awards being given out in a different manner, maybe a little bit more of a fair manner. That's all I'm saying. Oh, yes, Ken, I am getting old 100%. And that means I'm getting old because my eyes are giving out on me. Listen, I'm staring at screens all day long. Sports, Twitter, you know it. I'm here for you all, though. I said I wasn't going to do a post game, and here I am. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's see what else we have here. Listen, I could talk about this game some more. I loved what I saw. Francisco Alvarez. I saw a little bit, like we talked about it on the pregame with Rob. We talked about Francisco Alvarez's struggles behind the plate, his blocking abilities or lack thereof, and how he's not getting down to block the baseball. Rob was telling me over the past couple of weeks when I've been absent, the framing ability, the lack of throwing runners out. I saw some good things out of Francisco Alvarez today behind the plate. I saw a handful of times where he did get down on both knees to block the baseball and prevent the runner moving up an extra base. So, like I said, when you come and ask me what Francisco Alvarez's role on this team should be moving forward, you can't sit this guy on the bench just because Luis Torrens is playing fantastic baseball right behind him. I personally like the dual catcher lineup. I know they didn't deploy today, and Torrens was on the bench while Alvarez gets the start. And I'm not saying there's days that Torrens should start over Alvarez and Alvarez should just sit on the bench unless he gets called up being a pinch hitter. But what I will say is that, as Rob said in the pregame, you can't bury the young kid because he's going to come up in a situation later down the line amidst this playoff race for the New York Mets. They're going to need a big hit from Francisco Alvarez. They're going to need a big block from Francisco Alvarez on the ball in the dirt. And if you bench him now, right, more often than not, just because Luis Torrens is playing better than him at this moment, then I think you open up a whole can of worms in terms of confidence down the stretch that I quite frankly don't want to see. I don't want to even go down that route. So just to, I guess, re-up my thoughts from our pregame stream, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of the Francisco Alvarez talk. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, Ricardo, listen, every single guy in this bullpen, with the exception of Adam Ottavino, I am a fan of. You can maybe throw Danny Young into that equation. I think Danny Young serves his purpose, but the subtraction and the injury of Brooks Raley definitely hurt this season from a lefty specialist perspective. But Ryan Stanek, every single trade that David Stearns made, to just put this blatantly out to you all, every single trade that David Stearns made at this deadline, I was a fan of. Brazoban, Winker, Maton, Stanek. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting one, but forgive me if I did. I like them all. And I like this bullpen on paper. Yes, they're going to have their hiccups along the way. Yes, I called this bullpen elite weeks ago, and they had a couple of scuffles along the way. On paper, when I said this bullpen was elite, I was talking about what this team possessed in the bullpen on paper. I love Ryan Stanek's stuff, especially going back to his Houston Astros days. He was an elite reliever. Do the statistics support him being an elite reliever right now in 2024? No, but things and outings like you see tonight, right, let you know that he has that in his back pocket. And it's good to see him back on track, Ricardo. 100%. 100%. 100%. Same thing goes for Huascar Braziban, right? Same thing goes for him. Electric stuff. Electric stuff. So that's my spiel on the bullpen right there. That's my take on it. Smash those thumbs up buttons. Please, if you're in here, hit the thumbs up. hit an answer on the live chat poll, and subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to get to 900 subscribers on the channel, trying to make my way to 1,000. It would help me out a lot if you all subscribe to the channel. I know I took a couple of weeks off. It was a little hiatus. I wanted to unplug, enjoy my vacation, but I'm back. I'm back on September 3rd, delivering a pregame and a postgame to you all, and I'll be back for the rest of the season along the way to talk Mets baseball with you all. Definitely appreciate that. 100% deserves to be a team captain and deserves to be named team captain. 100%, Stanley. You will not hear me disagree with you about that at all. Winning's definitely a party. 100%. Lindor remained a leader, even when he was struggling. That is also a very great characteristic about Francisco Lindor, because you know he's going to provide you whatever he provides you with at the plate, because he was struggling at the plate early on the season. He's going to provide you good defense, and he's going to provide that leadership. 100%. 100%. All they have to do is play as a team, and that's certainly what we're seeing right now. Certainly what we're seeing right now. Reed Garrett has looked good since he has been back from the IL. What used to be the DL is now the IL. Yes, Ricardo, 100%. I know that there was a lot of worries a couple of months ago, right, about Reed Garrett. Like I said, I don't jump to conclusions about these relievers unless I have a definitive sample size behind it, right? We had a definitive sample size behind Adam Ottavino and how bad he's been this season. Reed Garrett, right? He's been kind of up and down ever since he got thrust into that sort of major role when Edwin Diaz went on the suspension list for that sticky stuff mishap in Chicago, right? And Reed Garrett had to pitch a ton more innings in higher leverage situations. That's when we saw him start to falter a little bit, and everybody hopped off the Reed Garrett bandwagon. But if you're seeing Reed Garrett in a situation like tonight, right? Or maybe even a situation like the 6th inning, give me Reed Garrett all day long. That splitter's nasty. Gets his team out of a jam. His hype out there while doing so. I mean, give me a guy like that all day long. So I agree with you. He's been pretty solid recently. 100%. All right, guys. What else do we have here? This is a great comment as well. I did see that sort of news saying Kodai Senga would be willing to come out of the bullpen if the Mets make the playoffs, which I would be all for as well, especially if the starting rotation keeps holding it down, especially in a wild card series where you have guys lined up like Luis Severino, Shamana, and David Peterson, right? Because I think at this point, those three guys are the consensus for a wild card series. If you have Kodai Senga coming out of a bullpen, that is a pretty decent bullpen on paper, I'm going to take that all day long. And that's a testament to the type of team player that Kodai Senga is. Also, probably in addition to the fact that he really wants to get out there, and it doesn't sit right with him that he got injured in his first start back coming off the IL. So 100% agree. That would be huge for the New York Mets to get him out of the bullpen. But we do have game 3 tomorrow. I know I'm kind of dragging this post game out a little bit. I was only meaning to be on here for about 30 minutes. And of course, per usual, I'm well over my time. We're approaching 40 minutes here. We'll do about another 5 minutes. We do have a game tomorrow. It's game 3. The New York Mets have gotten the series win out of the way. We do have some updated NL wildcard standings. The San Diego Padres get the day off today. The Braves, last time I checked, somebody in the chat, I don't want to do it midstream. Last time I checked, the Braves were up 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th. They are at home, and Chris Sale was pitching. Chris Sale is having a fantastic year. Not many teams can hit him, and I certainly didn't expect the Colorado Rockies to touch him. Padres up 3.5. Diamondbacks are going to be starting a game. They already did start a game, I believe, about 40 minutes ago with the Giants, if I'm not mistaken, and they're +2 at the moment. Before, if they win, they'll be back up to plus 2.5. I'm just taking into consideration the Braves win. Like I said, I think they won. Not going to check. Chat, help me out. And with this win, the Mets maintain pace as they were before, only a half game out of the wild card. An interesting note here. I know we've been talking about NL wild card standings. Last time I checked, you know what? Let me just go ahead and check this real quick. I said I wasn't going to check it, but I'm going to go ahead and check it because I'm actually very curious. The Mets have a lot of games left with the Phillies. And of course, the Phillies came back. They were getting absolutely pounced on by the Blue Jays, and they came back and they're winning 10-8. That sucks because I was going to mention the division really isn't out of the question either. Gary, Keith, and Ron were talking about this division. If the Phillies had lost tonight and the Mets won, it was going to be something like 6.5 games back with a whole bunch of games left to go against the Phillies. But you see the Blue Jays are going to be the Blue Jays of 2024 and allow the Phillies to take a game, it seems like, after they were up a pretty hefty amount. But we do have a game 3 tomorrow. Tyler McGill versus Tanner Houck. Listen, Tanner Houck is one of the Boston Red Sox best pitchers, to be honest with you. He's 8-9 with 3.12 ERA. Another guy like Cutter Crawford today, not going to wow you with the fastball. Cutter Crawford had an unusual arm slot, right? He was bringing that ball right to his ear and short-arming the hell out of it. A very unconventional style of pitching, very big wear and tear on your arm if you pitch like that, but I guess it works for Cutter Crawford. But I'm talking about the life on the fastball. 93 to 94 is what you're going to get with Tanner Houck, but he's got ridiculous off-speed movement. He's got a splitter and he's got a sweeper, and they move a whole lot, and he uses it to his advantage. Another tough test tomorrow for the Mets lineup. Whatever configuration Carlos Mendoza decides to throw out there, they're going to be in for a tough test. But like the common theme here is, right? Tough tests are what make playoff caliber teams into true playoff teams. The Mets have zero margin for error. The offense cannot find another cold streak, right? I'm sure they're not looking for a cold streak, but they can't hit another cold streak. They're going to have to go out there against quality pitchers, against the quality of opponents on the mound and produce. They did today. A little bit of a slow start, but they got it done behind David Peterson. Same thing needs to be said tomorrow against Tanner Houck behind Tyler McGill, who is making his second start since being called back up. Paul Blackburn going to the IL. Tyler McGill had a fantastic start against the lowly Chicago White Sox last outing. 6 strikeouts, 5 1/3 innings pitched. And honestly, that's the sweet spot of what I want out of Tyler McGill. If you can give me 5, 5 1/3, hell, maybe even 6 innings, dare I say, out of Tyler McGill of competitive baseball, 5, 6, 7 strikeouts. The strikeouts, I don't even worry with Tyler McGill anymore. They're going to present itself. He's got to put away pitches, but the competitiveness of said pitches, right, on a consistent basis is something that I worry about. The pitch counts is something that I worry about. I don't worry about pitch counts anymore, David Peterson, because he's proved to me and the rest of this fan base that we don't have to worry about that. Tyler McGill has a lot of work left to do to prove to us that we don't have to worry about that. So we'll see what ends up happening tomorrow. Again, sweeps are very hard to come by in Major League Baseball, but the Mets have a prime opportunity to take a series and sweep a series against a sneaky good Red Sox team, especially when the team that they are competing against and looking up at in the Atlanta Braves have a cakewalk against the Colorado Rockies. So there you go. That's the pitching matchup. Need to see shades of Tyler McGill that we saw last outing. That's what we need to see. Nothing more, nothing less. Appreciate you, Cope. D-backs already winning 4-1. Like I said, the Diamondbacks are a hell of a team. So happy that the Mets went in there to Arizona and delivered them a series loss just last week. That was awesome to see. But this is going to be a tough race. None of these wild card spots are out of the question if you're the New York Mets. Yes, the Mets have a tough schedule. Braves, Phillies. I believe the pesky Marlins are also in there somewhere and also finishing up the season against the Milwaukee Brewers. It's not going to be a tough test. It's really not. I believe someone said in our pregame chat, the Mets have the fourth easiest or fourth hardest, rather, schedule remaining, whereas the Braves have a relatively easy schedule remaining. Again, this is where you differentiate the fluke teams, the fluke caliber playoff teams or playoff caliber teams versus the real deal playoff caliber teams. And I'm really hoping and I'm really thinking, I really do believe that the Mets will show us that they are a true caliber, playoff caliber team. I really do. Like Rob said in the pregame, he believes in this team through and through, regardless of how hard the schedule is. And I'm going to back that sentiment. 100%. 100%. Anthony saying, are you saying Strawberry? Daryl Strawberry? I think that's what you're saying. Played today. He'd hit 400 with 60 bombs and not have over 50 Ks. Please elaborate on that. I think I get what you're putting down, but I don't at the same time. I could be misunderstanding that. Yeah. Manager of the year for Carlos Mendoza? That's certainly not out of the question. Listen, Carlos Mendoza, as any rookie manager would have in their tenure, has made his mistakes. A lot of questionable substitutions, not a lot. Some, I will rephrase that because I'm a big Carlos Mendoza guy, and I think he's definitely going to be in the race for manager of the year. He's had some questionable substitutions late in the game, and I'm talking about positional substitutions, and he's had some questionable bullpen decision-making down the stretch of games here. What manager hasn't? Really? In their careers, what manager hasn't? Carlos Mendoza has gotten this clubhouse to buy in. He's gotten the players to buy in. And these decisions that he's making, more often than not, end up being the correct ones, right? And he's taking a team that a lot of Mets fans, myself is not included into that category, but a lot of Mets fans were saying was not even an 80-win team at the beginning of the season. And we're here knocking on the doorstep of 80 wins with what? 20 plus games to go. So you do the math. Carlos Mendoza has been fantastic. For the most part, he's pushed all the right buttons, and his name is going to be in the manager of the year consideration 100%. You are not wrong about that. You are not wrong about that. Whew. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Good to see that, Ricardo. Blackburn pitched a good game tonight in Syracuse in his rehab game. I did not even know that he was pitching that. But like I said, guys, this is my first stream. I got back home last night. I'm a little jet lagged. Different time zone. Again, for me, first stream back. I threw this post game. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm all over the place. I threw this post game in last second because I really wanted to get back on track, especially with such a dope collaboration for the post game starting tomorrow with Pure Adrenaline Sports. Wanted to make sure the Wi-Fi setup was okay. Wanted to make sure you all see my pretty podcast background with my Mets bobbleheads, my Mets hat, my Giant stuff, all that good stuff. So I apologize for being all over the place, but really wanted to get this post game in, especially after such an electric win like tonight. Depressed Mr. Mets saying the Mets cannot afford another cold streak, period, from any one of their position groups. And I know I said that about the offense, but I definitely agree with you, Mr. Depressed Mr. Met, 100%. They cannot afford that. And the reason for that is that they had such a lousy start to the season, primarily in the month of May, that they just didn't buy themselves, unfortunately, any wiggle room here in the late part of obviously August, but now going into September at all. So we're not making any excuses. No cold streaks. It's time to strap up. It's time to win games more often than not. And it's time to make this final playoff push. It really is. I'm excited for what the rest of the season holds. And I'm excited to continue to watch competitive playoff race caliber baseball. That's it. Yes. Mets Knicks, Giants. Can we go 4-for-4? New York Rangers. I can't wait till the NHL season starts as well. The basketball and hockey seasons are also on the horizon. It's a great time to be a New York sports fan. I can't wait. I simply can't wait. The Knicks are looking great. Giants are looking. I'll reserve my thoughts on the Giants, but I'm excited for NFL and fantasy also. But yeah, 100%. The Mets just need to make the playoffs, and we will all be happy, regardless of what the other three teams do. If the Mets make the playoffs, I'm happy. I'm happy. So, whew. All right, guys. Game 3 tomorrow of this series. Mets improved to 75-64, 11 games over 500. They were 11 games under 500 at one point this season. So this complete 180 is great to see. Red Sox are now 70-69. They are also in the midst of a playoff race. Tyler McGill versus Tanner Houck tomorrow. Let's go Mets. Sweep a series. You already have the series win. But I need to be greedy, and I need the Mets to be greedy, and we need a sweep tomorrow. We didn't see this man right to my right. The Mets were able to give him some extended rest. Edwin Diaz will be good to go tomorrow if the situation calls on it, if the game is close enough in the 9th inning, or maybe even the 8th inning, if the Mets need him that badly on an extra day of rest. So let's go Mets. Pre-game tomorrow, post-game tomorrow on my channel and the Pure Adrenaline Sports channel. Make sure you're tuning in. It might be the same setup as this. It might be slightly different. We'll see what we're working with, but I'm excited to get that collaboration going. Always great to do collabs with other Mets content creators. And that's what we'll be doing with Pure Adrenaline Sports tomorrow. So let's see here. We got 20 chat right now. I definitely appreciate you all. I'm going to end this live chat poll that's got 45 votes. And poll, let's see what the final results were. The question was, do you think Francisco Lindor has a legitimate shot at winning the MVP award? 80% say yes, 20% say probably not. So let's see how that turns out. Again, playoffs, first and foremost. The individual accolades would be awesome. Francisco Lindor definitely deserves them. He has been putting this team on his back. Shout out to Francisco Lindor. Shout out to Mark Vientos and Pete Alonso tonight, homering as well. Jeff McNeil, solid game. And the birthday boy, David Peterson, was spectacular. Please, 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 please hit that thumbs up on this stream if you enjoy the post-game content, which is going to be continuing all season long, heading into, hopefully, the playoffs. And the playoff post games are going to be absolutely electric if the Mets make it there. Make no mistake about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. Want to make sure everybody knows that I appreciate you all. Such a great live chat. I apologize if I didn't get to all of your comments. Like I said, my eyes are really just not cooperating right now. I do apologize about that. I'll be better prepared for the next stream. I'll get to all your comments. Wanted to shout a lot of people out tonight. If I missed you, I'll get you on the next go around. I definitely appreciate the support. Thank you so much. And catch me over on X and Instagram, usually posting highlights of these streams after they happen, letting you all know when I'll be going live, and usually live tweeting games over on my X account. Handle is at CPNYSports, same as the YouTube. Let's go Mets. I appreciate everyone being here. Let's go for the sweep tomorrow. And as always, have a great night. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel. Thank you.